Okay, I hope you caught that that was a Shining reference, which is one of my favorite movies. Um, this video is not actually about The Shining, though I do hope to make videos about The Shining one day. This video is about something entirely different that I've been meaning to make a video about, and I haven't. Um, and it's scary, and it's frightening, and it's kind of supernatural. I'm going to be talking about, well, what the layman considers supernatural, right? Okay. So, I'm going to be talking about missing people who go missing from federal parks. And I understand that this is a rather frightening topic, and I'm telling you that right now. So if you don't want to watch it, then you can turn it off right now. I'm not going to be talking about human trafficking, okay? That's an entirely different video, and I am not getting into it right now. But I'm going to be talking about these two movies that I have watched, that I really like a lot. They're very scary. I will be leaving links to both of them, below. I remember I watched the first one for free. I feel like it was free on YouTube a couple years ago. Might have been on Netflix, so I don't remember. But the second one wasn't free. But you know what? You don't even really need to watch the videos to get the movies to get a general grasp on what's going on here. So this is where it's getting scary. A lot of people tend to go missing in federal parks, in national wildlife reserves all over the United States. And I'm sure this happens in other parts of the world as well. But Missing 411, both of the Missing 411 movies detail, explicate on people who have gone missing in the United States. Okay? And all in federal parks, okay? And all these cases are extremely interesting, and they're extremely unique. And I feel like it's fucking time that people fucking admitted that there's something beyond our reach happening here. There's something beyond our comprehension happening here, and I feel like it's fucking obvious. Let me just tell you about a lot of these disappearances. So, plenty of people go hiking or go camping, right, on federal land, on nationally registered, preserved, protected land. But these places are extremely rural. They're extremely out of your way. Actually not all the time, because there's this park that a few people have gone missing from that's somewhat urban. But anyway, I've been to this park in this picture. It's called Crater Lake. It's a very, very beautiful park. It's extremely hard to get to. It's really high elevation. You have to drive for a very long time up a very windy road. It's a real freaking trip to get here. And in addition to that, it takes significant time if you're going to hike there, it's going to take significant time to hike there. I think you have to make reservations pretty far in advance in order to hike here. But it's still, even though there are a ton of people there, like when I went there were a ton of people there, but it was still extremely remote. Like you could easily get to a place where you were alone, right, in this park, on a hike, whatever. Anyway, these people who go missing, it very frequently does not make a lot of sense when they go missing. Okay, the adults that go missing are often, as far as I can tell, extremely experienced with the wilderness. Like, they've been out a million times. I've heard of people with military backgrounds going missing more than once. Or these people, have been hiking these hikes for years and years and years, or they're even, like an instructor on what to do when you're hiking, when you're backpacking, that sort of thing. So they're experienced, right? And the thing that's interesting when they go missing is there is often a crew looking for them within 45 minutes of them having been reported missing. Okay, and these people I'm talking about, they weren't off hiking on their own. Sometimes they are, but the ones I'm talking about now were usually with a group, and part of the group, they split up. Like, part of the group goes one place, and another group, part of the group stays here. Someone leaves to go to the bathroom, and they come back, and so-and-so's gone. Okay, and so what I'm saying is, so-and-so's reported missing. They have a crew combing the area within 45 minutes. Okay, and I'm not saying that the woods aren't dangerous and people do in fact go missing or have an accident. That does happen. People fall off of cliffs. People even get mauled by mountain lions. But when things like that happen, there is evidence. You have a body. If someone, especially like a child, right? A lot of children go missing. We're going to get into that in a second. Kids theoretically could get, mauled by a mountain lion. That's theoretically possible, or eaten by wolves, right? But when that happens, there is proof. There's blood. There's pieces of clothing. There's a trace of them. So I'm saying these people are being looked for. The whole area is being combed by multiple people who are extremely experienced in searching for people within 45 minutes of them having gone missing. Okay? And there is no trace at all of this person who has gone missing. There are no footprints. There's no clothing pieces. There's no hair. There's no hair chunks. There's no blood. There's nothing. They're just gone. It's almost like they fucking disappeared into thin air. Okay? It's very, very strange. And we're not used to that, right? When someone goes missing. And it's also, I'm just going to add this because I said I wasn't going to make this about human trafficking, and it's not human trafficking, but these aren't abductions. These aren't abductions by other humans, okay? In Missing 411, the first movie, they talk about this family whose little kid went missing. He was like under 3, okay? And there's no way that he would have been abducted because they would have seen a car. They would have heard that person coming in. Okay? I'm saying they're so far out, so far in the wilderness that there's just no possible way that no one in the campsite, right? No one in the whole family just misses their abductor, like driving in, hiking in, or whatever. Anyway, what's weird about the kids that go missing is they often disappear like at the exact moment that is just weird for them to have disappeared. The kid I just mentioned who went missing, they talk about him in, I'm pretty sure the first one, but I don't remember if it's the first or second one. Anyway, what happened was it was I think he was with his parents, his mom and dad, and then his granddad was also camping with them, and I think there was one other adult. And so the campsite was about 500 feet from this creek, okay? Maybe it was 300 feet. It wasn't very far, okay? It really was not, even for a very young child. I mean, that's still kind of far, but it's not like they can't walk it, right? So what happened was mom and dad, I think, went to go meet other adult. Maybe it was like one of their siblings or another grandparent. I don't remember. But he was like, oh, like I caught these fish down at the creek, and they just went down to the creek for like a little bit. And but granddad stayed at the campsite. And so they were about to walk down there with the child. And they were like, okay, do you want to come to the creek or do you want to stay with granddad? And he was like, oh, I'll come. So they got about halfway to the creek, and this was 300, 500 feet, okay? Not far. And when they were halfway there, he was like, oh, I'm going to go back with granddad. And they were like, okay, going back. Personally, I wouldn't have let my child walk back, in the dark, but that's the kind of thing that happens all the time, right? No one else is there. No one else is around. Junior went to go walk back to get to granddad, and then they were at the water for like 15 minutes, and they went back and they were like, where's Junior? And granddad was like, I thought he was with you. So I'm saying, within that extremely limited time frame, this kid just vanishes. Okay? And I know for a fact what's going on here is not human. Okay? It's not human trafficking. Though I'm not saying that, I'm not going to rule that out entirely, because I know someone who's extremely experienced with hiking, and people suspect that there's like some human trafficking going on in hiking circles, but that's a different video entirely. So let's just say that sometimes it is human trafficking, okay? Sometimes it's not, though, because this happens too often. And what's interesting about this is that very frequently, when children go missing, like the story I just told you, either the day after or even hours after, there's an extreme change in weather. There's a snowstorm. There's a rainstorm. Something like that happens. Like, wow, that's my clock. I don't know if you can hear it. Pew, 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 pew. We have an extreme weather change, which is going to greatly alter the search, which is going to make it a lot harder, especially if it's snowing or if it's raining. And that just so happens to happen frequently when these kids disappear. Okay, that's not a coincidence. Another thing that's interesting with adults that go missing, I'm going to tell you about this guy who went missing. I think they talk about him in the second Missing 411 movie, but it might be the first. I don't remember. Anyway, this guy, I think this was in Montana, or kind of that general area. I'm pretty sure it was Montana. He went on this well-known hiking trail by himself, and he went missing. And they found his boots when it was cold out. Okay, I don't think it was winter. I think it was like late summer, maybe fall. It gets very cold, and it was also in some mountains. Okay, it gets very, very cold in the nights when you're dealing with mountains. Okay, so they found his boots 11 miles from where they found like the last of his stuff. And the thing with hiking one of the things with hiking and another one of the things with hypothermia is that with hiking, if you're lost, you actually often panic when you're lost and you just start walking any direction, you get even more lost, right? That does happen. Another thing with hypothermia is when you're actually legitimately dying of hypothermia, you start to feel extremely hot and you start to take off your clothes, okay? But this guy only took off his boots. And they found like his water bottle and his backpack 11 miles from where they found his boots. You ain't gonna walk 11 miles in rocky terrain when it's cold outside barefoot. It's not happening. Like you're going to get injured, your feet will get cut up, they will get sore. Good luck, but it's not happening. I think it's very interesting that these people are so frequently extremely experienced with the wilderness when they go missing. I think that's having to do with the fact that this is something we are not privy to. This is something that we are not really able to name or even comprehend at this point in time. Because these circumstances are just, they don't make sense to us. And when they don't make sense to us, that means that there's something going on that we cannot grasp. I can grasp it. I can grasp the fact that there is a supernatural being or supernatural beings within the wilderness where you shouldn't go. Okay? Another thing that is going on here is that I know for a fact, a lot of the time people have zero respect for the land that they're on. Zero. They think of it as this fun playground that they're just entitled to at any and every moment of the day, and that's not true. Okay? Every time I go out into the wilderness, I will legitimately find a plant, I will find a tree, I will find a rock, I will be in the wilderness, okay, I've not set off yet, and I will say a prayer to whatever it is I found. Rock, tree, bush, plant, okay? And I'll say, Great God Almighty, this beautiful land, this beautiful plant, I would like your permission for me to be here for a little while, for, whatever I'm doing, for a hike, for camping, for a couple days, blah, blah, blah. And if it's okay with you, I would like to have your blessing, and then I'll be on my merry way. And I'm not here to disrespect you in any way. I'm here to honor you and enjoy you. And do I have your blessing? And the land will give you her blessing. Chances are, if you ask politely. Okay? If you don't ask politely, that's disrespectful. And if you disrespect the land, maybe the land is going to disrespect you. Native Americans have a lot of stories about monsters or phenomenons that live deep in the woods, in the water, in caves, you name it. Okay? And one can glean, like, maybe those are stories to scare kids out of going too deep in the cave, right? But the cave is in fact dangerous. The woods are in fact dangerous. The ocean is in fact dangerous. The lake is in fact dangerous. You are in danger when you're there alone, when you're there with friends. Dangerous things can happen, and you need to be wary of it, right? There's more to this that I'm going to link you to on Missing 411. I'm not going to get into what it is, but because they say in the second Missing 411 video, they explicate on it further. But I'm just saying, there's something going on here that we can't comprehend. And I don't fucking want to hear. I hate fucking hearing from people because I've watched other videos. I watched another video by someone else who's like, oh, well, people just go missing in bad weather, like, tough shit. Like, no, it's more complicated than that, moron. It's not just like, yeah, the woods are dangerous. There's more to it than that. And it pisses me off when people try to just come up with a goddamn logical man-made explanation for everything. Okay? One, you should listen to my woman-made explanation because I'm right. And two, you can't fucking have a scientific answer for everything. I'm sorry. I don't know who needs to hear that, but if you've made it this far in the video, I guess that's you. I think that's all I want to say. I guess what I will say is if you're ever going into a national wildlife reserve or camping on federal land, I recommend having your kids within your sight at all times. And I also require you, but how am I going to hold you accountable? You tell me. To ask the land for permission for you to enjoy her company for a bit. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.